I'm here to talk to you guys about the Distinguished Division and Area Plan. So, some of you guys have heard are seasoned, have been doing this for a little while. Some of you guys started this year, got trained early in the year, and now some of you are just jumping in right now, trying to figure out what's going on. So, just like the Distinguished Club program, the district, or Toastmasters International, has a Distinguished Division and Area Plan for you as well. And this focuses on mainly three aspects. First is distinguished clubs in your division or in your area. The second is growing the number of clubs in the division or the area. And then the third thing is just to qualify, you have to have the area governor visits for the different areas, at least 50% for each of the 2 month periods, or the 6 month periods. I'm not going to go over the area governor visits with you, but what I want to talk about is the distinguished clubs as well as growing a club in your division, in your areas. So what I want to focus on is how do we get to president's distinguished? Because honestly, at this level, I think you should be focusing on that. Shooting for select or just distinguished, there's no point because you're doing 90% of the work to not get the full reward. So why not just do 100% shoot for president's distinguished? Now, in order to do this, what you have to do is look at the number of clubs in your area or the number of clubs in your division, and you have to achieve over 50% distinguished. So if you have 4 clubs in your area, you have to have 3 distinguished. If you have a division of 12 clubs, you have to have 7 of those clubs in that division distinguished. So that's the real focus, is making sure that we help support those clubs get to that mark. Now, if you've never been in this role before, looking at the clubs in your area, there's basically 3 types of clubs you're going to see. The first type is the clubs that are always distinguished. We have a lot of great quality clubs in our district, which is fantastic, and they pretty much are distinguished all the time. One of which, for example, Catonsville Club has been distinguished, I think, 15 years in a row now. President's distinguished ever since its creation. They know what they're doing, they're going to be on track, they have their own internal systems to push for that. Now the second type of clubs are those clubs that are pretty much never distinguished. And they're a hard struggle, they can suck up a lot of time and a lot of effort, and as much as I'd love to see them get to distinguished, a lot of times it's not going to be the best area of your focus. The third type of club are the middle ground clubs. They're the ones that are kind of, could be distinguished, could not be distinguished. They're kind of on that border. And those are the ones that you're going to have the most effect on. Those are the ones that if you put your effort and your focus on, you can help push them over the edge to get to distinguished. And oftentimes that's going to be what helps you get to that president's distinguished mark. So first thing is to look at the clubs in your area, look at the clubs in your division, find out some of the history for them, see who's been distinguished in the past. One of the things I like to do is just look at how many of them have over 20 members. That's usually a good indicator sometimes that they're stronger clubs. Some of the other ones, maybe they're under 12 or so, and they need help. They can still get to distinguished, but you have to push them to get the membership up. They have to get the 5 new members net to reach that distinguished level. Now, if we talk about the Distinguished Club program then, how many awards do we have to get to actually reach the distinguished level for a club? 5. Out of 10? 5, right? Okay. 6 of the awards are educational awards, 4 of the awards are related to membership and administration. Now, if the club has submitted their officer list and they can get the dues in to qualify for the membership, that point there is pretty much a given point. And hopefully, a lot of your clubs are starting off with that. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. Now, the second administrative point is the officers training. We talked about that before. They have to have 4, both in the fall or the summer and both in the winter. Now, if they haven't gotten the 4 for the summer, that point is already lost. There's nothing they can do about that. So, in some cases, it should be a give me of 2 points to start with. In some cases, we don't have that to work with. So, we got to focus on the other stuff. One of which is membership. We get 2 points for membership, but they have to get clubs telling them about this, walking them through the very detailed process of setting it up, and encouraging them, giving them my phone number, telling them I'll sit with them, do whatever it takes. And after all that effort, none of them actually did it. So what did I do? I went and I signed them up for them. Because I knew all their information, it's all on the Toastmasters International website anyway, might as well just take the time to do it yourself. Set it up as a recurring meeting Make sure that it's not a corporate club or something where it has to have a certain membership pool. But just get them out there, get them on there. At least then maybe they'll start to see a trickle of new members. And it's worked for some clubs. They're starting to grow, and it's nice to see that result. But you're often better off just doing that yourself and just getting it set up. Because that new membership is going to cause a lot of great things in the club. It's going to boost their confidence. It's going to help them get those 2 points. And then maybe they'll end up getting an excited member or two that will help them get the rest. But the membership, I mean, those are 2 points that are very achievable and can be done just by, in your club visit, telling them when you have guests, ask them to join at the end of the meeting, have membership applications right there and then, have them sign on the line. Because if they're getting guests come in, the guests are usually likely to like Toastmasters and want to get involved. And if you ask them, even if you only get 50%, you do that enough meetings, you're going to get 8 members throughout a 12-month period. So that's just kind of baseline. So we could have maybe 2 points. With the membership, we could maybe have 4. We're almost there. We're almost distinguished. We just have to focus a little bit on the educational side. Now, of the 6 educational points, what do you think are the easiest to get?
CCs.
CCs. That's funny. A lot of people jump right to that. It is extremely hard to get CCs. CCs, you have to get 20 speeches done by the same 2 members over the course of a 12-month period. And sometimes people are very motivated to do it. Other times they're not. Sometimes they'll do 5 speeches and drop out, and then you got to start over. If you're doing 2 meetings a month and you're doing, say, 3 speeches per meeting, that's 6 speeches per month. 12 months, that's 72 speech slots, 20 of which have to be dedicated to those 2 members just to get that CC award. So oftentimes those can be the hardest 2 points to get. If you've got a brand new club, the chances of them having a member who's already done those 10 speeches, have their CC, and then can focus on the Advanced Communicator Award to get those next 10 is often pretty hard too. So those 4 awards right there are pretty hard to get. But the other 2, the CL awards or any kind of leadership award, are actually pretty easy to get. If you look at the CL manual, it only takes about 17 meetings to get it done. And then you have to do a few things outside the club, like help with a contest, mentor a new member, things like that. But 17 meeting roles is it. That's all it is. And if you get people to focus on it, they're going to be doing meeting roles every meeting anyway. So if they're getting credit for it, then they're going to get to that point. And your club officers are probably the ones doing these meeting roles, and they're already invested. If you get each of them to focus on getting their CL if they don't have it, you're going to be there. You're going to get 2 points right there for the leadership awards. And that's going to be your most likely bet to get to the 5 points you need to be distinguished. So when you're doing your visits, focus on the leadership side. Bring that manual, teach people about how to use it, teach people how to get credit for it, and really focus and drive that hard, because that's what's going to help get you to that actually being distinguished for that club. And a lot of times, those medium clubs that are teetering on the edge of can I be distinguished or not, all they're missing is getting their members to get credit in that manual and actually get the awards that they're already working and achieving anyway. So if you just do one thing and you focus on that, that's going to be a big push to get you there. Now, the other intimidating. They've never done anything like this before. They usually kind of write it off. They figure, I'm going to make Tony do all the work. If he just shows up, he can wave his wand. He's going to create a club for me. I'll be good. Tony can't do it all. And this is not a quick process. A lot of times, this process can take the entire year. So if you start focusing on it now, and you identify some prospects, and you start working on them, and you stay with it, over the course of time, it could turn into a good, solid club lead, which then could be your new club that will get you to President's Distinguished for the year. So what are some strategies? How do we think about this? What do we do? The best source of new club leads are your existing clubs. If you go and do your visit, and you spend a little time before the meeting, you spend a little time after the meeting talking to people, and you start asking them a little bit about, well, where do you work? What do you do? Is there a Toastmasters club at your office? My guess is that if it's a community club, there probably is not a Toastmasters club in their office, and there's probably a need for Toastmasters in their office because that's why they're a member of this club. So if you start planting the seed with them that, oh, well, not only can you be a member here, But you can also have a club in your office, and maybe they'll pay for it and whatnot there, and you can help champion that club. That's the best source for you to get this new club. Because the reality of starting a corporate club is this. You have to find the decision maker, you have to convince HR that it's important enough to pay for it, but then you also need somebody who's there day in, day out, who could be the champion of the club and do the legwork and drive it home. Because if you're an outsider coming in, pitching them Toastmasters, and they don't have any experience with it, you might get a little bit of traction here and there, but you're not going to turn it into a club. But if you have somebody who's living and breathing it because they've done Toastmasters in the community club, and they can go and advocate and be there, and they know people and they have those existing relationships, they can really drive that message home and find the people in the club that's going to help you build that new club. And it's going to be a strong club that you can add to your area as a great example and a great way to kind of contribute to the strength of your area and the strength of your division. So it's a great kind of focus point for that building a new club process. Now, it's not a simple process, but Tony, I'm sure, is more than willing to help you with doing demo meetings. If you can get in the door, I guarantee, even though Tony lives in Delaware, he will drive wherever he needs to go to do that demo meeting because you've done the hard part for him. And he sure would be very appreciative of that. And once we do a demo meeting, usually it showcases what we already know, which is that Toastmasters is an awesome program that can really help not only build the skill sets of your existing corporate employees and things, but also create a certain culture and energy in your corporation that doesn't exist. I've seen it in two of the clubs that I mentor, one at Lockheed Martin and one at DSM Columbia, where just the Toastmasters Club, people have been sitting side by side in a cubicle for 15 years, had a work relationship with people, but never got to know them on any more than just that work level. And having that club and hearing their speeches and getting to know a little bit about what they care about, all of a sudden those barriers are falling down and the culture is completely different. People are a lot more open, a lot more friendly, and it's amazing, amazing to see. So, again, to kind of summarize overall, the division and area club success programs are very similar to the Distinguished Club program. It's just about helping the members to achieve success. Just like I'm sure some of you had the roles of president or some of the officers at the club level, you look at the Distinguished Club program and you start to figure out how can we make this successful for our members. Same thing here, it's just now you're taking it to the next scale. You're looking at not just one club, but maybe 5 clubs, or if you're a division governor, maybe you're looking at 15 or 18 at the top. And you're really figuring out how do I best use my talents and resources to really help the clubs to get the recognition and stuff for all the work that they're already doing. So if we focus on helping those in-between clubs, those middle ground clubs that are teetering between distinguished or not, when we focus on the leadership side where there's a lot of value to be gained, personally I believe the leadership side of Toastmasters is really what helps to benefit them most. If we put the focus on that, we train people for how to get credit for what they're already doing, that'll help them get their club to distinguished, kind of create a culture of excellence. And then if we start planting seeds now, trying to figure out where there's some potential for Toastmasters clubs, that will start leading us to the future of having a new club developed by the end of the year and help you guys all reach President's Distinguished in your area and your division.